Hi, my name is Keri Barnum for New Shelves Books, and we are here for Free Advice Friday, the hour every Friday where we get together to talk about book marketing, publishing, pretty much anything within the realm of being an author and how you can publish and market your books. We do this live every Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. You can join by going to newshelves.com/FAF. Or you can email in your questions to info@newshelves.com. I'll answer them live, and you can either join us or catch the replay on YouTube, which is simply youtube.com/newshelvesbooks. So we're going to go ahead and just jump right in and get started. We have questions that were emailed in and a live question to kick off. All right, so a question coming from Tara. When it comes to running Amazon ads, how would your ad text differ when writing a book in books in a series? So when we're talking about series ads, I have to say very rarely do I advertise any book other than the first book in a series, because unless they're returning customers, most of the time people are not clicking and they're not buying a third or fourth book in a series if they're just getting started. So there are some cases if it's not like an episodic series, if it's something where it's like just set in the same world, something like that. But most of the time I stick to marketing the first book in series. And when writing that ad text, so we're talking about the Amazon ad text, that's 150 characters. And yes, every time I say that, I'm like 150 characters, not words, characters. And that includes spaces, punctuation, everything. It means that you've got to get straight to the point. So sometimes it depends. Sometimes we'll work the series in there and sometimes we don't. I typically test both copy for that. So you may work it into something like, grab this book if you love fantasy series with vampires and romance. I mean, that's terrible ad copy. Don't use that, but you get my point. You can kind of subtly work in a series. Or sometimes you'll see something in this first book of the Road to the Breaking series, blah, blah, blah happens. And so that's a way to go about it as well. Or you simply don't talk about it being a series. You can just sell that book on being itself and sell that story and not leave in the series. I personally like to try a little A/B testing, do a little bit of both to see what works best. Some genres really favor series. Some readers really favor series. So sometimes it can help to let people know from the outset it's a series. But you can also be a little bit more vague in the sense of this new fantasy series from blah, blah, blah is doing this. So there are a lot of ways to work it in, but honestly, I think that you've got such a small amount of text there that sometimes trying to make sure you work in anything about the series or using the title, they can see the title. It's right next to the book cover. So if the book cover has the title, which obviously it has to, and if it's got any nod to the series, they can see that for themselves. So I don't want to waste my 150 characters on re-explaining what they can see for themselves. So it does depend on the cover and the branding and everything like that. But I think doing some testing to see what works best, what gets the most attention, is always, that's sometimes it's like we have like these standards of what we do, and then it's like, but you got to test it, which we don't want to call like throwing spaghetti at the wall, but that's a little bit what it is. I mean, pointedly, we're going for a target, but you kind of have to try things to see that works. Another way to work it in with wording is something along the lines of, this beloved series is similar to, or something like that. So I've seen that work as well. Oh boy, how long is it taking nowadays to receive a Library of Congress number? I have seen, so Library of Congress actually pushing through, I see numbers anywhere from 2 months to 14 months. Sometimes I think it's the luck of the draw. I do think sometimes big name publishers kind of get pushed through quicker. So it really can take a long time. I'd say on average, you're probably looking at 4 to 6 months minimum though. Just kind of how long it's taking for Library of Congress to do that. All right, the next one is going to be an emailed question from Eileen. Eileen saying, my book stopped being available in certain online stores. Is there something that I, as the author, can personally do about that? Eileen, it really depends. So the first thing, and if you're here on chat, feel free to kind of just, throw it in there. But it depends on if you are self-published and you control the listing through IngramSpark or some other distribution channel, or if you work through a publisher who is doing that for you. So there are a couple of things. IngramSpark sometimes does have opt-ins for online stores where you actually have to opt in and agree to have your book listed. The other thing that may have happened is sometimes stores choose not to list in their online catalog. They can do that. If they decide it's not working for them, it's not worth their upkeep, it's their storefront, they can absolutely do that. And the other thing is just looking at that, but looking if you're working with a publisher or if you're in IngramSpark, look to make sure that your distribution is active. So it has happened before where like print pricing goes up or you increase your discount. Things happened where your book is no longer profitable on IngramSpark, meaning that you cannot earn money on a sale and you're actually paying money to sell your book because you're setting those discounts low enough for bookstores to be interested in, but you're setting it so low that with print costs, you're actually paying money. And IngramSpark, as a safety mechanism, will shut off distribution to that book until you fix the pricing. So that's something to look at as well to make sure that your distribution is still live. But again, that all kind of goes back to, are you indie published? Did you publish yourself? Do you have control to look at these things, or do you have a publisher who did that? If you have a publisher and someone else has your book up in distribution, then you would need to contact them to see what's going on there. And the second question says, what does it mean when an online store says item no longer available? Typically when that happens, when it says item no longer available, that means distribution has stopped. So either you're working with a publisher who stopped distribution, or you've asked them to stop distribution, maybe you parted ways, or what I said happened with IngramSpark, your distribution got turned off for some reason. That's typically what is happening. Your distribution has stopped. So those are the things I dig into first. So Caroline's saying, I heard that ads with words do better than, or without words do better than those with text on Amazon. I think that's a blanket statement that no one can fairly make. Here is the thing. If your text and your copy is really good, it can help get people to click your book. If it's not very good, I mean, it can be a detriment, just like your cover. If your cover is not very good, it's not going to get the attention you want. So I think that it can kind of change. Now, what we do see is that when you have text, now this is, I'm not sure customers will pick up on this. People in the industry do, though. Very rarely will a big five or a big publisher book have text in their ads. Even though they run ads, very rarely will they have text in their ads. Mostly that's indie and self-published authors that put text in their ad. And so I can typically spot when looking at ads who's running them, if it is a publisher, if it's a direct author. Now, I don't think that really matters personally to most consumers. So I think it's all about, again, A/B testing, test with, test without. I have some books that do better without ad text because the title says it all, a lot with nonfiction especially. With fiction, sometimes you've got this one word title, or you've got this very short title that doesn't tell the story. I know that you've got a book coming up called The Pink House by Catherine Elliott. The Pink House, I mean, it sounds exciting, right? We know it's probably fiction, but we don't know the story. So if there's a trope or a story that you can put in there, that may hook readers. So I think it's one of those things, once again, you've really got to go back and you've got to do some A/B testing and try both out. And then Tara's got some follow-up questions on Amazon ads for a series. Can you advertise the series page, perhaps as a sponsored brand? So yes, you can. There are sponsored brand ads where you can kind of do that for a series. You can lead them to a series page. And that is an option. I will say I haven't had a ton of luck with sponsored brand ads unless you have a ton of money to spend. And when I say a ton, keep in mind that sponsored brand ads, whereas we try to keep our clicks for the average ad, Amazon sponsored product ad, which is one book. We typically try to keep those under 50 cents. And when using sponsored brand ads, a lot of those clicks go for $1 or more. So these are the ads that go at the top of the Amazon sales page. You have a little like brand picture, which can be the author picture. And then you have a series of typically 3 books that'll be lined up in a row. And those ads typically cost upwards of $1 per click. So unless you have a very healthy budget to really stay on top, and you've got a lot of series for read through, I don't see a ton of return on those ads. You really need to make sure that it's a leader magnet that's going to pay off over time. In my experience anyway. I know some people love them, some people not as much, but again, I've seen a lot of ads, both that I've run and that have been in clients' accounts, and that typically tends to be true. All right. Will Amazon let you use a famous author's quote or endorsement as your ad copy? So the official terms of service are no. Does that mean that if you put it in an ad, it might not, I mean, it could slip through, but the actual terms are no. You cannot use any review quotes. You cannot use like famous names, or like you can't say, if you love Harry Potter, you're going to love this. They used to allow that, and then they really cracked down on it. Sometimes it'll get through in an ad and then it'll get flagged or something like that because people are just using it as clickbait. So no, you're not supposed to use any quotes or endorsements in your ad copy on Amazon ads. Now you can absolutely use them on places like social media ads. You can use them on your book page under endorsements, or you can put it, sometimes you can work it into your actual book copy, different things like that, but you're not supposed to use it in that 150 characters on ad copy. Now that the holidays are over, for a children's book, should I reduce my Amazon keyword ads to be less than 50 cents? I think that depends on your book and the return on investment you're seeing. I will say that ad spend, typically, especially for children's or giftable products, it tends to increase during the Christmas time. From November to December, ad click, definitely the spend per click goes up over Christmas. And then it can typically go back down, but you'd have to look at your own ads, see what's getting you clicks, if it's actually paying off, what kind of royalties you're getting out of it. I will say, I know that Brian Cohen has just started a 5-day author ad challenge, which if you have never done Amazon ads before, Brian Cohen's author ad challenge is a great way to kind of get an introduction, a really step-by-step detailed introduction and support group to ads. However, I will also say with that as someone who's been around, I think from the beginning of the author ad challenge, as it's grown, I have noticed that every time there's an author ad challenge and there are these hundreds, if not thousands of authors trying out ads, I often see our ad rates and bids start to climb, I think because there's just so much competition in the market at one time. So if over the next, let's call it, I think the ad challenge, it's a 5-day challenge, but I think they spread it out over 10 days now. So I would say if your bids start to kind of do funky things over the next 2 weeks, don't panic. It will probably go back. A lot of people do the ad challenge. Some will stick with it and some will kind of drop off. But if you start to see like ad bid clicks and all sorts of things change in the next 2 weeks, just know it may be that there's a lot of authors trying out ads for the first time, and hang in there. Usually it goes back. And again, I think if you are looking to get into ads, Brian's 5-day program where they just give you an intro, it's really great, in-depth. Great for beginners. If you've been in ads for a long time, you'll probably find some of it to be repetitive knowledge of what you already know. But again, great information, and he does that for free, which is fantastic. All right. After my contractual period with my publisher ends, if I am not renewing, do I then buy my own ISBN to continue selling my book on my own? Would that be considered a new edition, a revised edition, or a relaunch? That is a great question, Heather. And actually, I got that same exact question, not quite exact, but pretty darn close. Same question from someone else in an email. So here's the thing. If you have a book with a publisher and you have an agreement with them, then of course you have to fulfill the agreement. Sometimes contractually with certain places, certain publishers and hybrid publishers or vanity presses. And I do want to make a distinction between hybrid press, which is where an author and a publisher are partnering, and a vanity press, which is a pay to play, which if it fits your needs, cool. But I just want to make the distinct differences that one's more of a partnership. One is where you pay to get your book up and then they're not really supporting you after that. Depending on your contract, of course, we have to legally play by the rules, right? So a lot of the vanity presses, though, they allow you to take your rights back. You just have to give them certain amounts of notice. So a lot of times it's 30, 60, or 90 days where you put in written notice and then they release your rights. They remove your book from distribution and all of that. So first step is to know your contract and know how to legally and gracefully complete that contract. So make sure that you have stopped that distribution and that it's ended. A lot of them, be careful because a lot of those contracts auto renew unless you send in a notice of non-renewal. So make sure that you pay attention to that fine print and you get that taken care of first. So once you know you have your rights back, you are good to go. What you want to do, if you are keeping the same author name and the same title, you would publish a second edition. The second edition of your book could be almost the same. It could have essentially the same cover. It could have, nothing big changed. Now you need to make sure that you have rights to your cover art and your cover file. You need to have your interior, and you would change the front copyright page where it lists the ISBN and the publisher to your own information and your own ISBN, which I highly encourage you to go buy. If you're in the US, go to myidentifiers.com, buy your own ISBN from Bowker. Don't use a free one. Free in this case comes with strings attached, which means that whoever's giving you that ISBN essentially owns distribution rights to your book. And that's the whole point, is you're trying to take your rights back. So keep those rights, buy your own ISBN free and clear, and make sure that you own it. And so you don't have to do much. You can just put your own stuff on it and then you can publish it. And that's a second edition. But you also have the opportunity, if there's anything that could be updated, if you think your cover art needs work, you can put a new cover on it now. If you know that there are some errors in the interior, or maybe you've got a nonfiction book that really could use some updates because you wrote it in 2015 and things have changed in the last 7 years, 8 years, then now's a really great time to do that. And you can do more extensive changes if you'd like, and then release a new edition. Now, the rule of thumb, there is no law about this, but the rule of thumb is that if you change up to 40%, you need to change 40% of your book content, which could include the cover. The cover could be part of it. But if you are updating, adding, or changing 40% of your content, rule of thumb says you can call it a revised edition. So you can say it's a second revised edition, which tells people it's new and updated. Again, if you wrote a book 8 years ago, things have changed. Technology has changed. So that's something that you can certainly look at, and something that you could put that stamp on. And then again, you're going to publish under your own accounts. What you want to do, the reason why I specifically mentioned the author and the title name being the same, because those are two metadata factors that are so important. If you want to link your old Amazon listing and your new Amazon listing so you don't lose your reviews, if you want to make sure that it's seen as the same book and you're not starting from scratch, you must have the same title and the same author name. If that is the case, once your book goes live on Amazon, you can then write to Amazon and say, I would like to link the first and second edition of my book, and your reviews will pop on over to that new edition, which we know reviews are hard to get. They're like gold, so we don't want to lose those, and that's why it's important. If you are publishing under a different name or a different title, you can't do that. You can publish that, but you don't get to link your books that way. You're essentially starting from scratch, and you would need to, on your copyright page, you would need to specifically mention this book previously published as, give the title in whatever year. So you would need to let readers know, and you also are supposed to list that right on your Amazon copy, like at the bottom. This book previously published as blah, 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 because we want to make sure that the end user, the reader, is not buying your book thinking it's brand new, only to realize they bought it under a different title 5 years ago. We don't want to double dip and have angry customers, and Amazon doesn't either. So that's the basic kind of steps on republishing a second edition. And if you would like to talk more, if you really want a roadmap on how to go from A to B, feel free to give me a call. That's the kind of consulting that I do to make sure that authors have the pathway to get there. See, if I released a book with a free Amazon ISBN, can I buy my own ISBN now and change it on Amazon? So you can't, yes, but no. You can buy your own ISBNs, but it would be just like I said, a second edition. Same thing. You would go onto Amazon, you would have to unpublish the first edition with the Amazon ISBN, and then you would publish a second edition under your own ISBN. So same process that I just talked about in overall. I came across a non-famous author I'd never heard of who suddenly has over 5,000 reviews. Well, okay, I would ask, is it really suddenly? Is it that you'd never heard of them and they have 5,000 reviews? Or did they go from 10 reviews to 5,000 reviews in a week? Those are very different. There are so many authors out there now. Publishing is so accessible now that there are a lot of authors we've probably never heard of. And there are some really dedicated, great marketers in the author community who are they're pushing their own books and they're really working for reviews. So if it didn't come from a big five, if it didn't have a ton of PR, and PR is public relations, that's awareness, that's making sure you know the name. If it didn't have a ton of PR around it, that doesn't mean that people haven't been reading it, reviewing it. It doesn't mean that person didn't actually go viral on TikTok and have a bunch of people read and review their book. Yeah, I mean, it just depends. If they didn't have PR, you may just not have heard about it. This person may have just been quietly under the radar, been, marketing their book. If they're on Kindle Unlimited, they could have been doing free promos to really get their book into the hands of a lot of readers. And if they love it, they're going to review it. So I think there are a lot of authors out there that sometimes they have micro niches also, where maybe they go viral on TikTok and everyone on TikTok's talking about them. But if you're not on TikTok, you're like, who is this person? I think that happens all the time. And with over 4 million books published last year, there's no way to know them all. Now, of course, not all of them are as successful, or they don't all get marketed, but there's a lot of content out there. So it's completely possible that someone has just popped out on the market that you didn't notice until now, and now they're a player on the market. You're noticing them more. All right, this question was about Facebook ads. So the question was, when I'm using Facebook ads, is there a way to get the contact information or email information of people clicking on my Facebook ads? Unfortunately, there is not a way to do that. You cannot, you can set up a Facebook ad that is form so that they're giving you their information. But if you are running an ad that's leading directly to an Amazon sales page, something like that, when they click on it, you don't get their information. They just go to your sales product. Excuse me. So no. Now, some ways that you can get contact information is you can run an Amazon ad that goes to a free leader magnet. You could send them to a free book on BookFunnel and get their information that way. You could send them to a prequel or to a class or something like that got their information on that page or website and gave them a product for it. So you can do that. You can do a form, as I mentioned, but again, people have to have a reason to want to give you their information, and different ways like that. But no, it's not going to automatically give you the information. Now, there is a way, I will say that when you are, there is a way when you are getting clicks on not just your ads, they're not on the ad, but if you are getting people liking, loving, making the laughing face, if you're getting reactions, that's a reaction. If you're getting those on your post on Facebook and through ads, there is a way to actually click on the number and invite those people to follow you on Facebook. So you can actually start to get that in such a way that people can follow you on Facebook, which is cool. Let me see if I can show you what that looks like, because I think this is one more way to kind of make the most of your ads on Facebook that isn't always utilized. And I think it's a missed opportunity for sure. Let me go into an account that has ads and let me show you what I mean. And this is, yes, if you're running ads, you'll probably get more of this, but you can do this anytime you post on Facebook. Let me show you. Just a second. Boom, boom, boom. The problem with doing things on the fly, sometimes you guys sit around and watch me fumble over here. All right, give me a second. I will share my screen. All right. All right. So we are on a, there you go, you can see it now. We are on a Facebook page for Chris Bennett, who has historical fiction series, and you can see it here. This is one of our longest running, best performing ads that compares his series to 1883, because a lot of people are comparing it, and it's worked very well, because if you can connect to something that's already trending, you're more likely to get response. So you will see that there have been 736 people who have liked, loved, responded to this post. So if you have this and you click on it, you will notice that next to each of these, there's an invite button. You can invite these people, and what it's inviting them to do is to follow your Facebook page, which means they are more likely to see your post in the future without you paying for it. So I highly encourage that if you're getting engagement on your Facebook post through your author page, or you're getting engagement on your ads on Facebook, and you're getting these kind of reactions, invite these people to follow your Facebook page. It's one more way to make your ad perform a little bit better for you. It's giving you a little bit more for your money. It's really easy to do. I will say, I don't think this shows up if you have a Droid phone. I don't think it shows up on the phone. It shows up on the Apple phone, and it shows up online on a web browser. I don't believe it shows up on the app in a Droid. But otherwise, this is a really great way to kind of get more from your ad than you were otherwise, which I highly recommend, right? Like, we want to be smart with our money. We want to get the most out of it. So I recommend that you do that. All right, let me see here on our next question. All right, let's see. I'm wondering if anyone has ever had this issue. I listed a children's book on KDP in mid-November, and after several chats and emails with support, it's still in review. So this book is kind of stuck in review. I've even asked for them to just delete it, but no luck. I also listed the book through IngramSpark, which I do with most books. So they're using IngramSpark to publish in IngramSpark because there's no KDP listing, is putting it over onto Amazon. But that IngramSpark listing has come through with no picture of the cover. What's going on and what can we do? So this one, as far as a book being stuck in review on Amazon, I've seen it a couple times. It's really unfortunate because it is hard to get fixed. I would say that if you have a book stuck on Amazon in the review stages, it stinks. Use the contact us button and contact Amazon. The thing is that you need to keep asking for a next level manager. Say you would like to delete the title, or that you would like to it personally reviewed, and you're going to get someone who's going to read from a script. That's their job. That's what they get paid for. So this person probably can't help you. So if you're calling, you need to say, I would like to speak to a next level manager. When you get to that next level manager, tell them so nicely that this is what you'd like. And if they cannot help you, you'd like a next level manager. Most of the time, it's going to take you 3 or 4 times of going through next level managers to get to someone who can actually go in there and look and see if there's been a technical problem and see what's going on. So you need to escalate it. And I always say, start with the contact us button and write an email. The email gives you a paper trail. And please understand that when you're speaking to these customer service representatives, they don't know what's going on. They're literally starting from scratch every time. So be patient with them as they tell you they're reviewing your files, they're going through it. And also know, at the very early stages, they literally are reading a script. They're told to tell you, we can't help you, just need to wait. So of course, be kind, be courteous, just keep asking for next level. And again, once you get to the 3rd or 4th, you usually get someone who can actually go into the account and help. It takes time, it takes patience, but in my experience, that has helped. So give that a try. If you still have problems, let me know. The other issue, which happens more often than you might think, is if you are using IngramSpark to distribute to Amazon, sometimes a listing will show up on Amazon with no cover. So your book listing is up, it's for sale, but there's no cover. It just says no image. There's no cover on your book. And that, number one, is hard to sell books when there's no front cover because people can't see what it looks like. That's your biggest marketing piece. So you have a couple of options when this happens. One of the things you can do is go to IngramSpark, tell them, now this needs to have been at least 2 weeks after your book went live. We need time for the metadata and the images to sync. If it's been at least 2 weeks, go to IngramSpark, very kindly tell them that Amazon is not processing your cover metadata, and ask if they would resubmit the data. Sometimes that's all it takes, is that the information actually has to be pushed through a second time. So you may want to do that. And then once you make that request, if they say they'll do it for you, give it at least a week. Most metadata that pushes out from IngramSpark happens on Friday. So if you ask on Monday, it's not even going to get sent out for almost 5 days. So give it some time and wait. The other thing that you can do, if the book is up without a cover, the author through Author Central can go in, use the contact us button to contact Author Central and make a complaint that the book cover is not showing up with the title and asking if it can be put on the title. And sometimes you can get help that way. So I would be doing both of those things to work to get that cover up, and usually one or the other will resolve the issue. Yes, kindness and politeness goes a long way. I promise, people don't want to not help you. People want to help you. They want good reviews from you for Amazon. They want to help you because they don't want angry people screaming at them. They don't want annoyed people on the phone all day. They want to help people and have a happy life and a happy job. So make sure that you hold on to that patience, even though I know it can be frustrating. It's a little bit like, you know, when you're talking to your kids and you're going, I know they don't mean it. I know they don't understand. Let me breathe for a minute. Maybe that's just me, but I think kindness, politeness goes a really long way. These people are trying to help you. Let me see. What's the main difference between hybrid and vanity publishing? So we actually have a wonderful article on News Shelves, which I will pull up right now, which was written by Tara Almini, that is all about hybrid publishing and what it is and what it isn't. So I will pull that up and I'm going to drop it in here. But some of the biggest differences between vanity and hybrid publishing is that hybrid publishing typically, you're partnering with the publisher. You are not just paying someone to create a book for you and put it up under their own account. So Vanity Press, it's typically what's happening. You are paying for your book creation. You're paying for someone to get it up and on Amazon or on Ingram. And then the partnership ends. They pretty much, now they may have marketing programs that they'll charge you extra for. They will have different things, but really you are paying them for the service of creating a darn book. This is not something which sometimes is fine. If this is a book you just wanted to get out for your grandkids or for family, or you just felt like you really wanted to share your story and you have the income to do that and that suits your purposes, then cool. But it is not, in a sense, going to help you actually sell or market your books. Typically, when working with a hybrid publisher, the author is subsidizing part of the publishing cost. So the actual cost to format, to get a book cover done, to edit, and all of those things, they're subsidizing or paying those costs. But they are partnering with a publisher. They typically, from a hybrid publisher, you're going to get better royalty rates than from a vanity press. And with a hybrid, they're partnering with you. They are helping you market. Their success is tied up in your success. So it's them taking a little bit of a chance on you and investing in you while you also investing in yourself. Now that's a good hybrid publisher. And there are a lot of publishers out there that are great. There are some that pose as hybrid when they're not. And there are some hybrid publishers that pose as traditional publishers, which they're not. So I think that check out that article. Tara references some really good resources for you to check out and to know which is which. And also, I think it's just a matter of doing your homework and knowing anyone who is a hybrid publisher and poses as a traditional publisher, be wary of. We should be honest with what we are. And a traditional publisher is going to pay you to publish your book. They're going to pay you to publish your book. They're going to take on all the cost of publication, and they're also going to, if you earn out on your, if they pay you a one-time fee to publish your book, if they pay you that, then they're also going to pay you royalties once you earn out of that one-time fee for publishing your book. So that's kind of the differences between them. So I think that's great. Let's see. So a bit confused about a verified purchase on Amazon for a review. So a verified purchase, it means that someone purchased a book on their Amazon account and then they left a review for that product. The reason why that shows up is because it means that it's verified. If I give you my book and you go review it, it's not verified. They're saying we can't verify this person actually got the product and actually tested it out. And that's what the difference is, because you do not have to purchase a book on Amazon in order to leave a review on Amazon for books, especially. So verified purchase just means that person actually bought the book from their account. And yes, Kindle Unlimited is, you can leave reviews after reading on Kindle Unlimited, and Kindle Unlimited is still a service that's paid monthly. That's where you pay per the month to read as many books as you want in the Kindle Unlimited library. And it is for authors, they get into the Kindle Unlimited program by being exclusive on Amazon with their ebooks and enrolling in Kindle Select. And that's how a lot of indie authors, especially with series, make their income or the bulk of their income. Let's see, on WorldCat, I can see which libraries have my print and ebook available, which I love. Should I be able to see the audiobook availability? So you'll only see audiobook availability if someone has cataloged your audiobook version of the book. So sometimes if a library is cataloging your book, they will go in and they will physically have their cataloging librarian add it. Another way to get that in and to ensure your book is in the catalog is go through and get the cataloging information like a PCIP block done for your audiobook. I currently use Cassidy Cataloging for that. And so it's same kind of process you do for your ebook and your paperback. You do that for your audiobook as well if you'd like it in the WorldCat system. Or again, if a library is actually carrying your book, then they may go in and add that information in for you. Just know that can often take a long time. Cataloging librarians typically aren't cataloging full time. They may actually have other jobs in the library. So some things don't get cataloged for up to 2 years, I'm told, from multiple libraries. All right. Let's see. I think I've got another email question. Let me just look through here. All right. My ebook is on Libra Open Office. What do I have to do to be able to upload and have published on Kindle? So no matter what you're using your ebook on, if you own your ebook and the rights to publish, you need to make sure it's an EPUB format. EPUB is the type of file that can be used on e-readers, and it is what you use to upload to Draft Digital if you're going for wide distribution, to Kindle if you want to distribute directly to Amazon. So no matter what program you're using to create your ebook, you need to make sure that you can export as an EPUB file. The EPUB file is what you upload directly to the distribution site or the publishing site so that it can then be available for consumers and customers. So hopefully that should hopefully be an easy one to get it into KDP. All right, and another question that's very similar to that second edition question is what happens if I upload my book to Amazon on KDP and I choose expanded distribution? Now, expanded distribution on KDP simply means that you are giving KDP the right to upload your book to IngramSpark, and they essentially become a middleman to get your book onto IngramSpark for Ingram Wholesale. And when that happens, like I said, they're the middleman. They take part of your profits, but they do upload it for you. If you decide you would like that control, and if you own your ISBN, so if you own your ISBN and you no longer want to use expanded distribution, because then it comes through KDP, they take a cut, and they also control your book on IngramSpark as far as your discounts, returnability, all the things. What you need to do is you need to turn off expanded distribution on KDP. And then once you do that, sign up for an IngramSpark account, get it all set up. And then there's an IngramSpark KDP transfer form that you can transfer the book with. So there's a form, fill it out. It's not hard. Once you do transfer that title, and I will drop in the link here. Once you transfer the title, it can take a month, sometimes up to 8 weeks for it to transfer from IngramSpark into your own account. Please know the way that this happens is IngramSpark already has the book files because KDP has uploaded book files to spec onto IngramSpark. So they have your book files from KDP. It's already loaded. You don't need to then go add a new title. We're just transferring an already existing title from the KDP account to your account. So if you try to upload a new title and you're like, it's not taking my ISBN, I don't know what's wrong, this is why. You don't need to upload a new title if it's already in expanded distribution. So you use I did just drop the link for the transfer. You drop it in, you do the transfer. It can take anywhere from 30 to 60 days on average. And then one day, you'll just log in and wow, the book is in your account already. It is just in your dashboard under title. do note that typically when they transfer it over, they turn off distribution, meaning that the book is now in your account, but it's not active and available. You have to go into the book title, check the pricing, check the terms, and then you have to enable distribution. So they're like, okay, we transferred it to your account, but now you have to confirm everything's correct and push that live button or that publish button on IngramSpark for it to become available. Once you enable distribution, it'll probably take a week or so to actually show back up and available on Ingram for Ingram Wholesale, barnesandnoble.com, and all of those places. So all those little steps really matter. I think that's one of the things we see in publishing a lot, is that authors or even publishers, they know generally how to get things done, but sometimes the order of the steps really matter. I've run into that, gosh, a couple times this week where I keep slowing authors down and go, wait, you're all the way on step 5. We got to go back to step 1 or else step 5 won't work. And that's why you're frustrated. So really make sure that you know not just how to get there, but that you're taking each step and you're taking your time and going through. You'll save a lot of frustration in the end doing that. So you can no longer remove from expanded distribution after it's transferred. IngramSpark will not transfer it until you remove it from expanded distribution. I do believe that used to be correct, but now they actually require that you remove it from expanded distribution first. The title has to go inactive on their end before they'll transfer it. Let me see. Yes, so Kate had questions about NetGalley and how to get on NetGalley. So NetGalley is a review platform. It is a place where readers can find books. Typically, it can be older books, but typically this is a review site where people will upload upcoming and new titles, and they will put them up on NetGalley, and people can ask to review them and get a free copy. The idea being that these reviewers will get a free copy of the book, and then they will go review the book on Goodreads, Amazon, and NetGalley itself. And so that's the idea behind it. You can go directly through NetGalley. If you are a member of IBPA, you can go through IBPA for discounts. There are co-ops kind of popping up for NetGalley, essentially where someone will buy like a bulk account for NetGalley, and then they will sell out individual, like 1 month for a title or 3 months for a title, and you get a discount because that person has that bulk account. So they're earning a little bit of profit, and you're also getting a discounted listing. So there are those options. I believe Giselle over at Espresso Book Tours does a 1 month option for NetGalley. Now do note that NetGalley specifically says for your best response, the book should be out for a minimum of 3 months. So just note that, but there are options to do it for less time. Now I will say, while saying that, NetGalley is increasingly getting more and more speculation because people are using it and not getting the same amount of reviews they used to. They're still getting people claiming books, but they're not getting as much as they used to. And as we have more books on the market and NetGalley has become more accessible to authors that are not in the big 5 or traditionally published, there's more on the market there, so books aren't getting as much attention, but NetGalley is still pretty pricey. I think we've had a couple people on Free Advice Friday who've shared that they've used NetGalley for 3 months and they've got maybe 1 or 2 reviews. So just keep that in mind, that it is a little bit pricier. It may work for you in your books, but I would test it out on a title before, enrolling. I wouldn't put 10 books in there. And do also know that the best response is going to come from a new release or an upcoming release. Older titles typically don't do well because it's an older book and people just aren't as interested. That's not what they're there for. Yeah, it does also depend on how well you follow up. So when you go on NetGalley, one of the great things is that when someone does claim your book, you do get their name and their email. So you can follow up with them. I will say, when following up, I've had people get great responses. I've had people get no responses, and I've had people get leave me alone. So, runs the gambit. I think that it's a good tool if you use it well, but I would definitely test it out and not just go and roll, a bunch of books all at once. Personal opinion. Is the IngramSpark fee a one-time fee? So when uploading a book for the first time, there is a upload fee of $49 to upload a title to IngramSpark. That's the fee to upload your files and to get it approved and all of that. If you are a member of IBPA, Nonfiction Book Association, Nonfiction Association of Authors, Ally, if you went to the 20 Books Conference, all of these places actually provide you with an IngramSpark code where you can upload up to 5 titles for free every month. So there are a lot of opportunities to get a free code, and IngramSpark itself will also release free codes from time to time. So you can avoid that $49 fee, or you can kind of, get an IBPA membership, which is by the time you use the code 2 or 3 times, you've paid for that IBPA membership, and you also get all the benefits of IBPA. Pretty awesome. So there are different ways to kind of work around that, but it's a one-time fee until or unless you have revisions. Every time you revise your files, so you're uploading new files, there's a $25 revision fee. And that is because they're having to have customer service go through, check the files. And yes, there is a AI component of it, but they still actually have people go in and check files and make sure that everything looks legitimate. So they pay for that. And so it's $25 for revision. If you have IBPA or Ally, if you are a member of theirs, your code that's for $5 a month works for uploads or revisions. So you can avoid paying that way. So again, I think those memberships, if you choose to invest in one of them, can really pay off that way, depending on how many books and how many revisions you have. So there is that revision fee if you need or choose to revise files. All right. More and more, I'm seeing authors publish their paperbacks in audio only without the ebook copy. Is this a new trend? I can't say I've seen this, Teresa. Sometimes you won't see an ebook if it is visual heavy, but typically if it's very visually heavy, you wouldn't necessarily see an audiobook as well. So sometimes we'll see just a paperback or paperback and hardcover if it's like a cookbook or something that may not translate well into ebook because of the digital images or children's book. But I haven't noticed paperback and audio with no ebook personally. So I can't speak to that, I'm afraid. But it's not a trend that I've heard of. Nothing new happened there that I've heard of. Let's see. If I created a children's book in IngramSpark because Amazon doesn't produce the size that I want, so important to note, KDP and IngramSpark IngramSpark offers a wider range of print sizes and different printing options, especially for hardcovers. So if I'm using IngramSpark instead of KDP, because IngramSpark has the size that I need, can I still transfer the book as you were discussing? No, the book must first be available to upload to KDP. It must be live on Amazon before it goes live on the transfer. So no, that doesn't work. If your book cannot be for sale on KDP for Amazon, you cannot do expanded distribution through KDP. Let's see, will the transfer process, removing from expanded distribution and completing the transfer form work if you used a KDP ISBN number? No, so remember when I said free ISBNs come with strings attached? Here's one of those strings. If you have used a KDP free ISBN number, then what happens is they own the distribution rights to your book with that ISBN. So that means that you can do expanded distribution and KDP can upload your book to IngramSpark, but you cannot use that ISBN and your book with that ISBN and upload it anywhere else because you do not own the distribution rights to that edition of your book. KDP and Amazon do, which is why I do not like it. So you actually could not do that. You cannot upload your book directly to IngramSpark. You can't transfer the book into your own account because you don't own the rights, which is why I am such a stickler for telling people to go buy their own ISBNs from the appropriate place of record for their country, because you give away part of your rights when you use a free ISBN. All right, you guys, it's 11 o'clock. I think I got all of our questions answered. If I missed your question, I am so sorry. Please email it to me, info@newshelves.com. We'll answer it next week, same place, same time, 10 a.m. Eastern. Thank you guys for joining me. The replay will go up on YouTube on Monday. You can find it over there, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.